All right. Now, will I have anything to talk about? It feels so weird. I do not like this solo streaming. I do not have enough of a presence on either platform to be like, this is where I want to stick. And like, it feels weird not being on Twitch. But also, like, I'm not sure where I want to go. Nintendo Direct. Is that today? That is today, isn't it? We were talking about that yesterday. Oh! Maybe that's why the Dead by Daylight thing got delayed a day. They were like, we can't miss this Nintendo Direct. Zekrul! Do I want to go insane? Not particularly. Oh, it happened earlier. Did anything especially good happen? Did they shadow drop Metroid Prime Remake 2 as someone was hoping yesterday? I don't think they will. Super Mario RPG? No way. Like the Super Nintendo one? For Squaresoft? Really? Wow. Because people go freaking gaga over Gino, right? That's the one, the little puppet from that. And they're like, why we never see Gino anywhere else? Like Gino and Mallow? Oh, chat is not appearing on stream. Hang on. I can fix that. I know exactly why, because it's on Twitch chat. And I need it to be on Restream chat. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, people want Gino. Yeah, there was like I remember a bunch of people being like, Smash, Smash, Smash. And then a bunch of people being like, no, it'll never come to Smash because, you know, Squaresoft. So that'll never happen. But all right. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, there we go. Whoop. Scrunch chat over. I don't know why it's so much bigger than it normally is, but hey. Hey, Blue. Yeah. That's Super Smash. People love that. That party game with items? People love that party game full of items and stage hazards. It's the best party game full of items and stage hazards. Don't scrunch us. So help me, I will scrunch you to the corner. You will be so scrunched. Great. Can I do that? There we go. Can I do that? Wait. Anything. Now taking Tabletop RPG questions. Now, can I, like, make this real tiny? And then it says AMA, but then if you look closely, it says ask me anything. Help desk open. There we go. They also announced a new 2D Mario, and as Blake put it, the mushrooms finally took hold. What? I don't even know what that means. So about Twitch, are people not able to join the stream? So Twitch changed their policy, so you can't co-stream anymore. So, like, normally I'd stream, you're here, on Twitch and YouTube. Because there are, some people in both, and then it's easy to have the, I would say the POVs, the VODs on YouTube. They just automatically upload, and it's great. Because it's on there. Twitch changed their policy, and are like, if you're an affiliate, you cannot co-stream anymore. And I was like, that's garbage. I don't have a huge following on Twitch. I have like 10 to 15 people over there, and then like 2 to 6 people, 5 people, 4 people on YouTube. And it's like, all right, that's a fun 15 to 20 people. I'm on it. But it was like, no, you can't do that. So now it's like, well, what do I do? Because I technically am an affiliate on Twitch. So that's the better platform, but it's not super user-friendly. And, like, not making a ton of money on it. But the threshold for making money on YouTube is so much higher. And my audience is a lot smaller. But it's the place where I have my my VODs and my other videos go up, and I want to start building that up more. So maybe it's worth it to do it all on YouTube. I don't know. It's garbage, and I'm very upset about it, and I do not know what to do. So I switched up today. Earlier this week was just Twitch. Today's just YouTube, and I have a smoothie. No, Jesse, why don't you ask me anything? Pacific Blue, do you play tabletop RPGs? I don't even know. I guess that's my question I'm asking you. But yeah, most of the viewers are on Twitch. Obviously not today, because there's no viewers on Twitch. It was trippy. Oh, now I gotta watch it. Twitch needs to have a hard think about what it's doing with its life. Yeah. Utku. Hi. I guess their marketplace and they can make their own rules, but it's such a disappointment that they are becoming less and less supportive of promoting growing communities. Stay strong, Jesse. Thank you, Utku. I would like to stay strong, but let me tell you, it is incredibly just disheartening. Like, I don't know what to do, and that makes like all the steps in the creative process of like making things harder. Because it's like, I thought I was working towards a goal, and then it's like, well, you can't do that goal anymore, and it's like, oh, I have to drastically change something, and I'm not sure what it needs to be. So, like, it's very hard to stay strong. I do not know what to do, and I do not know how to build up. I guess I would technically rather build up the YouTube channel and have that be its own thing. But again, the threshold for that is so high, and I've been on YouTube long enough where I saw more success on Twitch. So it seems like maybe I shouldn't abandon that, but also, I mean, it's not like huge success. I'm not freaking running away over there. I'll pop trailer in the Summer Game Fest channel for you. Hey, thank you. I'm going to keep that channel open and then just change the name every time a new event happens. So it's like Summer Game Fest, then it'll be like Nintendo Direct, then it'll be like State of Play, then it'll be like whatever. Just change it every time something new happens. Thanks, Blue. Hi, Jesse. Thank you for the question. No, I don't play tabletop RPGs. I'm just here for spoofs and goofs, as Marty would say. As Martin would say. Classic Martin. Yeah, it's super high on YouTube. I think it's like 30,000 followers. And, something else. I don't remember what. It's like 30,000 followers, a set amount of viewed hours, and I think like a year of having the thing. Shorts are surprisingly good for pushing the algorithm. Yeah, that's the thing, is I want to start doing shorts. And I don't know if it's worth it to be like, you know, if I can get that audience in on YouTube for the shorts and then be like, oh, and if you want to see live stuff, come on over to Twitch, or just be like, it's all here. But I also don't want to put it all here because it's like, well, that's just putting all my eggs in one basket. And that seems like it's generally a bad plan, like 90% of the time. It's like, oh no. Like, it's just, oof. Churches have a different algorithm. Yeah, they do. They really do. And that's fine. The idea is to, like, do something with streaming, do something with shorts, do something with long form video. And I don't know if I should make YouTube all three of those or just make it the long form and the shorts. Yeah, it gets views, but not necessarily engagement. Exactly. So apparently there was a trend. YouTube is drooling enviously over that TikTok ad revenue. Yeah. What's the other thing is doing shorts. I can put it on TikTok and Instagram and all that. Because if I make it for one platform, I can just put it on the other ones. It's just a little video. It's just a little video. But yeah, I don't know how many particular eggs to put in that basket. And I've had yet to find anything helpful about that. Because it's like, oh, anyone who's talking about it either is already established somewhere or does not have a dog in the race, as they say. Horse in the race? I don't remember. It's basically people being like, well, I'm mad about Twitch, so I'm going to YouTube. And they have like 20,000 people that just are going to go to YouTube with them anyway. So, like, who cares? I saw on Kick the other day when I was looking at that, like, one of the major people I would see on the, like, high-rated thing on YouTube is just over there on Twitch. It's now just over there. Or it's people like, well, that's stupid. People shouldn't do that. But they're not streamers. They haven't spent time building up an audience. As like, yeah, it's easy to look at it. It's easy for me to look at someone who does NASCAR and be like, well, that's a dumb choice. But like, I have no car in that race, as they say. So, like, I have yet to find anything like concrete or helpful in this situation. The thing is, you just make a short to entice people into the stream, and then you delete it. Make it one for each stream. Yeah. Just make a thing. Although, yeah, don't delete it. Just leave it. But yeah, just make a thing and be like, oh, here's a little thing. Here's a little clip from this stream. Short will just be, hey, I'm streaming this. Come join me if you want to have fun. Or something very short like that. From my understanding, those sorts of shorts get a lot less engagement. Where just the informative shorts kind of get... First of all, they're not generally what people are coming there to see. So they're not going to get the same level of engagement. But also that they won't get the same sort of play. And so you won't have people seeing it to know you're going live. I would be, hey, want to come watch me Lost in the Wilderness? Nice. Yeah, I've seen some where it's like, I think it's Cinderblock Sally, who does tabletop RPG stuff, who shows up on my shorts, and I like watching his stuff. Where he'll answer a question and then be like, oh, and if you want to see me answer questions live, I'll be streaming this time. And it's like, oh, okay, like, you got me there. You actually, it wasn't just, and that's what I would like to do, is like, it's not just, here's my ad for my other thing. It's like, here's the general content you came for, and here's a little bit of extra information for you. I'd be really scared to watch you get lost in the woods, Blue. I'd be very nervous for you.
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle. It's dramatically new.
I put heavy whipping cream in my smoothie, and it's quite good. I needed something liquidy. Oh, I think the mail came. That or someone's just punching my mail slot. That's where you gotta trick the algorithm. Yep. Hey, Discordia. I am trying out YouTube today because life is garbage and I don't know what to do. So yes, I'm on YouTube today. How are you doing, Discordia? Jesse didn't trick me to come here with shorts. I'm wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. But that's because I'm going to go swimming after I make a very important transaction for getting stuff set up so I can fix my HVAC unit. And then I'm going to go swimming for my exercise today. For example, TikTok, you gotta get them eyes on your TikTok very quickly and then get them to stream. Yeah, like, and I want to make shorts not only as a source of advertising, but also for the sake of shorts. I like shorts. So, you know, if you get people into it too, but like, I also want people who are there for the shorts to just enjoy them. Discordia says working through a character for a run at Waterdeep. So what is Waterdeep Dragon Heist? Because it's not a heist, right? What's the general story? And what are you working through? Do you need any particular, as it says, help? Yeah, swimming. Y'all wear clothes. I'm in the wrong place then. Well, you don't have to. You're not on camera. You can wear whatever you want, Cruel. ICBA. I don't know what that means. With all the shorts to get people on my stream. I also worry about the quality of the people joining that way. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like I don't want to advertise for the sake of advertising. I want to advertise other things. It's like I want to have it be its own thing, and then if people dig that, they'll be like, "Ooh, if I like this, I might also like this other thing." Sometimes garbage people want to watch those shorts. Can't be arsed. Oh, that's what CBA. Got it. Here's a RPG question. What RPG system is your favorite, and which one you can't stand. World of Darkness is fun, in my opinion, but can be difficult unless people you know well can get toxic. That's a great question. Utku. I love World of Darkness. Like, VTM is really great. Mage the Ascension is really great. Discordia loves the Changeling. And makes it sound very appealing. So now I would try that. But yes, it is a very style-driven system. So you have a lot of, like, stuff that doesn't always make the most sense in context. I remember just one of the easiest examples is, like, one of the powers a vampire gets or something gets is, like, you create a ball of fire. And it's like, ooh. And then that's the whole power. And it's like, well, how much damage does it do? Is it, like, how flammable is it? How does fire spreading work? Does it appear in my hand? Does it appear in front of me? How far away from me can it appear? Like, there's just no information on that. So yeah, I love that system. I think it's great. And I haven't seen what the latest version of it is. But I think it's really great. So it's probably one of my more favorites. I also really like Savage Worlds. I've mentioned that a bunch of times on here. I think that is an incredibly fun system. I love the exploding dice. So exploding dice is when you roll the highest roll on a die. You get to roll it again and add all the numbers together. So if you roll a d6 and you roll a 6, then you have 6, and then you roll that d6 again. And if you rolled a 5, then your total is actually 11 on a exploding d6, which is pretty good. And like it's in a way so seasoned characters feel powerful, but a child with a knife is still a threat. They could still stab you, and that would be very bad. So it's really cool. I love that system. My least favorite, I really don't like 5th edition. I don't think it's that fun. I like the people I play with, but like, if all the stuff locally, it's like, oh, I want to join a game, I won't join a 5th edition game. And if a friend's like, oh, I'm running a game and it's 5th edition, I just like, nah, I'm good. It's just not fun for me as a system. I'm also pretty cold to lukewarm on the Apocalypse engine. I don't really like the Powered by the Apocalypse system. It's very easy to get into, which is nice. But as a whole, it's just not super fun for me. It's loose enough to where I want to do more things with it, but it's strict enough to where it won't let me do a bunch of those things. So it ends up kind of falling in that, like, not fun ratio. And then my other favorite is Lexicon, because I made it, and it's just super easy, and it's very character-driven and roleplay-driven, so there we go. All right, now I can read your answer, Discordia. Well, I was just asking GM about using a bit of homebrew to bring the Draconic Sorcerer up to par with the newer subclasses, which get an extra 10 spells known. What? Why are they getting an extra 10 spells known? Also, what's a Draconic Sorcerer? Is that like a specific subclass of sorcerer? Zakrudel says that is why I like Gangrel clan vampires. Just make big claws and tear things to pieces like a barbarian in D&D. Yeah, I've never played one, but they seem really cool as like they're real brute force. It's the Gangrel, and there's another one that's real brute forcey. Or maybe I'm just thinking of the Gangrel twice. Gangrel seem really cool. I've never played Savage Worlds, but I've heard good things. That's one of those realistic mortality, like getting stabbed once can be fatal. So it can be. You have a set number of wounds you can take, and that's it. And what you have is you have a mechanic called bennies, and you start with I think 3 of them at the beginning of each session, and you could use them to do multiple things. You could spend a Benny to re-roll any die at any time. You can spend a Benny to soak a wound, which means you get to remove, like, you should have been dealt 2 damage, but you spend 1 Benny and now you're only dealt 1 damage. Or you spend 2 Bennies and now you're only dealt 0 damage. So there are a little bit of leeway in all sorts of things that can happen. So like the GM has them as well and can spend them to like reroll dice or soak enemy wounds. And so yeah, you have a set amount of hit points. I think there are some upgrades you can get as you level to give you like 1 extra wound threshold, but it's not a lot. So like if you've spent your bennies and a baby with a knife stabs you and they crit, you can die, or it can severely wound you. So everything has a threat level, but it scales nicely with making it so things don't, always threat. A seasoned person is still obviously more powerful than a level 1, but like level 1's still a threat. Where in something like D&D or Pathfinder, where it's power fantasy based, a level 1 character is never going to be able to kill a level 10 character. A level 1 character has like almost single digit hit points. Their bonus to attack is super low. The damage they're going to do is super low. Versus the level 10, which is made to have like several magic items. It's going to have a much higher threshold of damage, much bigger attack, much more abilities at their disposal. They just don't stand a chance. So yeah, it's like it's not quite realistic, but more. That was my slack. More dangerous. You have a constant level of danger. I do prefer dice pool systems. Yeah, I love a dice pool. It's really fun. Also, a fun thing about Savage Worlds is unnamed characters. Any unnamed NPC has 1 wound threshold. So they always go down in one wound. And they also do not have a wild die. All named characters, so all players, and all like special NPCs, always have a wild die. Whenever you roll, you also roll a d6. So like you always have a little bit of an extra chance to succeed. And the die you roll matters with how good you are at it. So like if you're okay at something, you roll d4. If you're better at it, you roll d6, d8, d10, d12. So the better you are at something, the higher die you roll. Which also lowers the chance of it exploding, but increases the total number chance. Problems with the apocalypse is funny. Do you get quality people in your streams? No, just weirdos like me. Yeah, we like weirdos like you, Deeps. It's cool. Because they were made later and they revised their position in the game balance because sorcerer are too limited. Fascinating. Okay. So why wouldn't, if all sorcerers were supposed to get this buff, why wouldn't draconic sorcerers also get it? Or is like draconic sorcerer from like another edition or something? Just imagine killing a nameless goon as friends are like, no, Steve, and then suddenly comes back because he has more health now. I love it. Yes. named is what they use. But yes, I think that's a very funny thing. The newer subclasses they published got the balance update. The older ones have not been reprinted. Oh, okay. So like the older ones should get that update too, because that's kind of meant for all of them. You're just using an older edition. Now they're looking to move a lot of things around and do a new edition. Are you talking about D&D 1? Is that the move things around new edition you're talking about? That's going to be compatible with 5e. Did they change the name? Last I heard, it was called D&D 1, like Mortal Kombat 1. Stupid name. I think the 1 is supposed to encompass like, oh, well, you can. It's the only one you need because you can use the old version or the new version, even though you can only use one of the old versions. But do you think they have recently? Well, now I gotta look it up. It doesn't matter if I like them or not. I have to keep abreast of what they're doing. Oh, I'm sorry. They were calling it 1D&D. Is what they were calling it. There's very little I've heard about D&D 1. If that's what it's called, I guess. It sounded good to me. Yeah. Alright, playing a 1D&D shortly. Okay, so this article says Dungeons & Dragons is giving up on the 1D&D name. Okay, but what are they going to name it? No plans for calling it 5.5e or 6th edition. Okay. So maybe they're just giving it up, but they haven't decided what to call it yet. Did you watch that OSP video on RPGs that are not D&D? There are a couple there that sounded really neat. I have not. Is that overly... I don't know who OSP is. Seems almost entirely designed by committee. Oh, that'll end well. All good things are done completely by committee. With no, like, center focus or anything. I mean, it might be fine. They have so much money. It's hard to not make a viable product when you have that much money and resources to throw at something. Like, by committee, by bad designers, it doesn't matter. You can work it out. Case in point. Lancer in particular sounded cool to me. Oh yeah, I've heard good things about Lancer. Lancer and Iron something are two I've heard good things about doing cool mech battles. This seems combat focused and RP focused. Yeah. Overly sarcastic productions. Oh, okay. Do you know about Worldwide Wrestling? That game seems really cool. You find a group that's into it. No, I'm assuming it's a wrestling RPG, which I think would be super interesting, even though I have no idea how I'd play it. Like, I really like the idea of non-traditional settings, where it's not like, oh, it's sci-fi and you're on a mission, or fantasy you're on a mission, but it's like, it's wrestling and you just have a career. That sounds neat. I don't know how you would make that, like, super good. Professional wrestling RPG. Replay people are professional. Yeah, it sounds good. So you're them in the ring and out of it. Yeah, that sounds super neat. But boy, howdy. I don't know. I got quickly distracted. Zakruel. I think you asked the question. Hang on, I gotta scroll back up. Oh no, I missed it now. No, it was Utku, wasn't it? Yeah, Utku. You asked the question. Utku, if you're still here, well, now I want to know what your favorite systems are. And what your least favorite are. You mentioned World of Darkness, but curious what the other ones are. So you play RP behind the scenes, politics and stuff. Yeah, like that. I'm not good. Like, I could not run that game. I don't know how I would make an interesting, like, weekly scenario for people to play. Hey, Paul. Yeah, we're over here today. I made a little video. I went live on Twitch for a moment to say come to YouTube, because that's where we're going to be today. I can't get back into the rant. I don't want to waste everybody's time with that rant again. But, like, I am so disheartened and, like, I don't know what to do for the future of streaming and, like, where to go. I do enjoy Fate. Fate for the freedom. And homegrown. Yeah, Fate is a really, really fun, very open system. Fate is kind of how I feel about a Powered by the Apocalypse. Is like, it's not as good as Fate. Like, both of them are very loose systems. Both of them offer you, you know, a lot of ideas of how to interpret stuff into different genres and things. But I feel like just in basically every aspect, I like Fate better. It's my jam, freaking Halloween electro swing. It is very, very, like, freedom based. It's a good system. If you haven't played Fate, I do recommend it. It's Evil Hat Productions. Yeah, same. I don't know enough about wrestling to run it myself, but I would play it if someone had an idea for it. Yeah. Because that would be really fun to play a character that was, like, super outlandish in the ring. Was, like putting curses on people as their gimmick and, like, doing all this wild stuff. And then play them as, like, incredibly shy in their real life, like, and have that dynamic of them, like, not being able to, like, speak out when they're not in character. I feel like something like that is fun for a character, but again, I don't know how I would. I don't know what a weekly thing would be. It's a little too close to life in a scenario, which I think is why I like sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, is because it's far enough removed that I don't have to deal with, like, the daily politics and stuff. I'm trying to homebrew my own campaign, but it's Pathfinder, and I refuse to learn others. Pathfinder 1, Paul? Or are you doing 2? Watching this stream on YouTube, I feel sullied. I'm so sorry. If you make a Kick account, I might be able to help you out. There. 0. For good things about Pathfinder? Yeah, because Pathfinder 1 is basically just 3.75. Like, it's 3.5, but then they made a few small changes. It's basically all compatible with each other. And then Pathfinder 2, I think, is the better version of 5e. Same sort of crunch-based mechanics, combat-focused, class-driven, power fantasy. But I think 2e Pathfinder does basically everything better than what 5e did. Pathfinder 1's fun, but, like, I say that as someone who one of my first campaigns was 3rd edition. So like, you know, Pathfinder 3, all that's gonna have a special place in my heart, even though it is absolutely bananas front-loaded system. Like, you have to know so much to make a character in that game. It's kind of unreasonable. Once you know it, then it's like, oh, I get it, and it's kind of simple to do, and it's very easy to forget how much work and knowledge it takes to get to that level. But again, I like it though. It's just crunchy enough for me. I need to ask Jack how his Pathfinder adventures are going. He had a great experience. I think he's playing 2nd edition Pathfinder 2e. Had a look at some of the modular constructions of characters. Seems interesting. Yeah, it is. They do a lot with Pathfinder 2, a lot with like feats, allowing you to play characters how you want. So it's like you have your basic classes of like fighter, your rogue, your wizard, but then there's a lot of feats that focus on like, well, I want to use a crossbow. Here's a feat for that. I want to, you know, I played a character that was grappling based. The Hexus rattlesnake. And I was like, I just want to like Dragon's Dogma this. I want to be able to like climb critters and stab them and do all this. And there was like a whole tree of feats specifically on grappling. So like, ooh, you can grapple one-handed just as effectively. You can use a weapon while grappling, and now it's just as effective as you weren't grappling. You gotta do this thing, and you could climb while grappling. Like, there were just so many ways to customize your characters beyond the base classes that you could get into. It was really cool. And like, you know, a bunch of other people did a bunch of other things. I liked the bit of Pathfinder 1 when I played. I think very good GM. Oh, that'll ruin any game. But that's some good character creation options. Yeah. Yeah, the rules will chew you up. Absolutely. Yeah, those feats exist in one, but usually they require a prerequisite, and it's annoying. Some of them do. I felt like the prerequisites were either fit into what I had to where I didn't notice them, or they weren't that bad in 2nd edition. Because I feel like in 3rd edition they went a little ham, and Pathfinder 1, they went a little ham with prerequisites, where it's like, well, your intelligence has to be this, your dexterity has to be this, you have to have this feat, you have to have this skill, and it's like, okay, like, come on, just give me like one of those, or just one. Just be like, hey, are you smart enough to read? Yeah, you could do this then. Pathfinder 2 sounds like it wouldn't play well with Adventurers Night, because how y'all love to talk your way out of things. Well, that's the thing, is that's why D&D isn't really the best choice either, because it gives us a bunch of combat options and we all want to talk. So, I mean, Pathfinder and D&D are the same style of game. So, really, I would say it's not any better or worse. It is just also a game. Yeah, I would not say it would be a more awkward or worse choice than 5e for Adventurers Nigh, because we basically do the exact same thing, and we'd have to skirt around the same rules to be like, but we want to talk to this horrible monster. Yeah, he seems to take it personally whenever he can't talk his way out of combat. Yeah. Because we wanna chit chat. We want to outsmart. We want to be clever.
Hi there.
But yeah, see, he does really want to not do combat.
Setting up to shoot a scene of our new star, and I'd love to introduce you before they begin. Honestly, we're all just...
How about you, Jesse? Do you have a favorite system? Paul, I do. Actually, I got asked that earlier. Lexicon, because I made it. It's focused on... I won't repeat the whole thing. Lexicon, because I made it, and it's very roleplay focused, so it's really fun. Savage Worlds, because it's just a great system. It has exploding dice. And World of Darkness is a great system that incorporates a bunch of different things. Like mages, vampires, werewolves. They're all pretty fun. What about you? Is there one that you want to learn? Or do you only like Pathfinder and you're cool with that? Maybe Mortimer can't do combat. I mean, he's Bard, so not the strongest at it. No Dabarella. But none of us are. Except Sigmar. That's my slack. Interesting. I really love the world of Pathfinder. That's the only reason why I favor it over other systems. I don't know if you could port their world somewhere else. I really don't know the lore of Pathfinder. Because I don't know the lore of D&D either. Like, every game I've played is homebrew. So, canon... it's nothing to me. The only one I played that I ran a game that was in Eberron, and I actually read the Eberron book to be like, all right, well, what's this world about? And like tried to do a thing in it. And that was probably one of my least favorites. It's a cool world, but like, I just don't. I don't like reading about someone else's world and then running in it. Like, if it's a world I'm actively aware of, like if I wanted to run a game in Star Trek or in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just choose a system and then run it in that. But you have, it's the world that interests me, and then I get a game on top of it. Or I want to tell a story within it. But a lot of times in RPGs, it's like, well, I want to tell a story, and I want to show a world, and I want to do the other things. So I just don't. And as I said, a lot of people I play with don't like the canon stuff either, because they're always like, well, it's this homebrew world. And I'm like, sounds good. What's the opposite of exploding dice? Last session, my mini-boss encounter whiffed 9 attacks in a row. Legendary actions included. Oh boy. The opposite of exploding dice would be like an auto failure. So something like what old World of Darkness had, where if you rolled a 1 on your die, that was a failure. Or the Sea of Thieves game that we were playing, if you rolled a skull on your die, a skull would actually take away a success. So something like that would probably be the opposite of exploding die. Or you could do a literal opposite, and if you ever roll a 1 on a die, you roll that die again, and then subtract the number you rolled. An imploding die? We could make a rule about that. That would be an imploding die. So yeah, if you ever roll 1, re-roll it again, subtract that number. Big ouch. Also, 9 attacks in a row. I will say, on an exploding dice, I had someone... That is possible, because on an exploding dice, I had someone roll a 21 or 22 on a D4. They rolled 4 an unreasonable amount of times in a row and got in the 20s. So... Could absolutely do that. Splinter Fiction! I didn't know you were on YouTube. What's up? You made it over here. We are at like 7 people. We are almost up to Twitch numbers. Yay. Yeah. I've only played one game that wasn't Homebrew World, yeah. Which is what gets me when people are like, oh, you know, because, like, this is how it is. And it's like, I don't know how it is. I don't play these games in their normal habitat. Like, I don't know why. You know, why do dwarves and elves need to hate each other? It's like, oh, because they do. But why? A, it's your world. Like, you can change it if you want. Like, B, I don't know that. I mean, I do know that. But, like, weird things like that, we'll just be like, oh, it's a standard thing. It's like, gets me. Hey, everyone. Is moving to YouTube. How are you doing today, Jesse? Splitter Fiction. I am doing mildly okay, I would say. I am incredibly frazzled and unsure how to go about with streaming in the future because Twitch seems to be, while it is where I have the most people, it is by no means like a popular, stable thing for me. And I don't know if I want to, like, if it's worth staying solely there or to try and build up audience on YouTube and somewhere else where I can still co-stream. So, life is hard. How's your life going, though, Splitter Fiction? How's a you doing today? Speaking of exploding dice, have you played Earth Dawn? No, I have not. Splinter Fiction. After that answer, what is Earth Dawn? I guess I need to start targeting the Blade Singer Wizard with more spells. Ooh. Do it. Why did they miss so many attacks? Was it just bad rolls, or did they have debuffs? Also, I'm very curious, did you think it was a problem? Or did it make for a very exciting play? Because, like, end of Side Quest Season 2, the little bit of spoilers, the final boss encounter, we absolutely devastated the boss because we rolled really well, he rolled really badly. And while it was unsatisfying for Jack because he didn't get to do what he wanted to, there was narrative satisfaction in it, and we as players all found it very satisfying. That we worked so hard to get to this moment, and then in our time to shine, we did. It's good. Counterspell. Counterspell! Love Counterspell. I think dwarves and elves, even predicted like each other in the Forgotten. Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's just a Tolkien staple of, like, orcs are evil, elves and dwarves hate each other, and then there's no real, like, challenge to that, and a lot of time not thought put into it. It's just like, oh, they do. It's like, but why? Mood. Twitch is making stupidest decisions. Yeah, it sure feels that way. Drowned Ruger excluded, of course. Yeah. Earthbound is my favorite tabletop game. I'm working through the books in hopes of DMing my first game. Ooh, cool. What is Earth Dawn? It was a very fitting end. Yeah, and that we had failed to that point, Deebs. We had failed several times getting there. Like, failed at stuff. So it's not like we went unopposed. We had issues. That fight was not one of them, though. Bad to mediocre rolls versus high AC, and he cast shield against mediocre ones, and I didn't worry myself too much about it. It was very incidental combat encounter. Okay, cool. Players thought it was a laugh, of course. Nice. All right, good. Well, I'm glad it was good then. Because I think that's great. And also, I've already lost my train of thought. I started on that and lost. Oh, also, the great thing about AC is have your players focus on that and then hit them with saving throws. Haha. Are you familiar with Shadowrun, says Louis330, and how magic is awakening in that setting? Earth Dawn is that same universe in the... Oh, boy. Doggone it, YouTube. In the time before magic went to sleep. Oh. Is it like literally the same universe as Shadowrun, or is it like similar to that? And also, does it run on the Shadowrun rules system, like rule set? I asked like 4 questions, and Splinter Fiction very enthusiastically shouted yes, but I'm not sure which to those. Exactly the same setting, but in the past. Okay. Cool. I tried playing Shadowrun once and was not quite told how to do it properly, and then was given like $10 million in game and told to just buy whatever I wanted. And I didn't know what I needed. And it was a lot of time, and I did not have a good time. And we only played one game, and I don't feel like that was a good representation of Shadowrun. So I'm familiar with Shadowrun, but I basically don't know how to play it. Yeah, so Earth Dawn is the... magic is slowly starting to fade. Ooh, that's cool. DD races having alignment limitations, says Ootku. Like Driving Evil is a thing that I'm glad seeing retired from systems. It's like you said, the game, it's your game, your universe. Yeah, exactly. It is an incredibly bad look to have racial alignments. We've discussed this before, and I still stand on that. Is to be like, oh, you're born this way, so you're evil. It's like that's not a good take. I love the settings / concept of Shadowrun, but it seems intimidating. Yeah, there's just so much to it. Which I would like to kind of be eased into Shadowrun. Like, I think it would be fun to play Shadowrun and start off as, like, basically level 0 with minimal abilities to no abilities. And just get familiar with the world and interacting with it, and then start introducing, like, oh, you get a laptop. Which Shadowrun, so you probably don't have a laptop, you're probably like some sort of cyber enhancement. But it's like, oh, and you connect the internet. Oh, you start getting curious about this. Oh, you learn about, like, I think that would be cool. Because it seems like a very crunchy system in a very crunchy world. Crunchy being like mathematical, very technical, a lot of rules for different things. Where it's unlike Fate, where it's like, I don't know, you want to hack something? All right, you got a hack skill. Bam, use it when you want to. Versus Shadowrun, which is like, this is the hack skill. This is what it can be used on. These are the counters for it. These are the different kinds of systems that won't get hacked. These are the counters for that measure. And it's like it's a whole like flow chart of things. Shadowrun, the PnP game, is notoriously buggy. I do recommend checking out the Kickstarter video games by Harebrained Schemes, though. Ooh. In between Earth Dawn and Shadowrun, magic is gone. So that's like where we are right now, would be the in-between. We haven't gotten to Cyberpunk Shadowrun, but we've lost Earth Dawn magic. But yeah, Earth Dawn is a similar setting to D&D, so medieval times, but also a bit like Fallout, because basically the world was taken over by these creatures called horrors. Ooh, horrors! Love a horror. People went underground to avoid the worst of it. Eventually people returned to the surface, but the horrors are still around. Ooh, it's darker setting than D&D and more brutal, so I just vibe with it hard. Nice. That sounds cool. I like the idea of an external threat to humanity. Are the horrors tied with magic, and like once they start getting removed, like the magic starts going away as well? Is that like part of the thing, or is it unrelated? My favorite thing about Shadowrun is that the go-to single round stunning spell, at least in the older editions, was Orgasm. What? Is that true? I don't know if I can believe this. But also it sounds like something nerds would make. Super short explanation because I'm on my phone typing is hard. That was a good explanation though. Yeah, basically horrors follow the magic. Oh, okay. If there's no magic, there's horrors. If there's magic, there's horrors. So, wait, so are there horrors in Shadowrun? And that's why magic came back? Why did magic come back in Shadowrun? I'm very curious now. I mean, it stunned me for a round. I'm not saying it's not technically appropriate. I don't know if it thematically works. Like, yes, it would indeed make it hard for you to do other things for a set amount of time. Stun for a round, yeah. Was that the best way to do it? Shadowrun the risk of horrors returning as they as a looming doomsday scenario. Oh, which is a legitimate scenario because magic is back. Times Ryan. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Good afternoon, Jesse Jess. Good afternoon, Timesy Ryan. There's a character that is in both Earth Dawn and Shadowrun that at the end of Shadowrun is like, oh no, the magic's coming back. We're screwed. Wait, how is this person... How is this person in both? How did they survive? So far so good, I hope you're well. No, I'm terrible. I'm mildly okay. But that's not your fault or your problem, so. Hey, Herb for... I like that name. What are your thoughts on playing pre-made adventures to start people on tabletop? I think they give a false sense of security and an urge to push folks back on track, so they kind of fail as starters. Herb for generally, I feel similar. A friend of mine and I were actually working on, or are still working on, a tabletop RPG tutorial to try and combat that. Like an idea of, we're gonna, like, you use the adventure to teach people all of the necessary different rules and little things that they need to know in order to play the game, and to expand on it and have fun with it and be creative. Because I do find that a lot of okay, let's start over. So with that in mind, I can't say I hate all pre-made things because I'm technically making one. I will say that a lot of pre-made stuff are written to be read and not to be interacted with, which I think is a complete opposite way to go about it. Where one of the things you're trying to do in the tabletop RPG tutorial is to write it in a way that makes it interactable. Where a lot of times you have, you know, a set scenario of how it needs to go, and then it's just like 3 ways to achieve that, or like, you know, something very specific. So I feel like they're not bad in and of themselves, and they can be fun, but they need to be written in a way that is more interactable. They need to be run in a way where the GM goes, look, they might get off track, and I'm going to have to figure out how to retrofit stuff back into itself, rather than just railroad them and go, no, go over here. So yeah, I think those two things, if you could do those two things, then you can make a pre-made adventure enjoyable. But if it's just a, here's the adventure, you gotta run through it, then like, it's very likely could turn out poorly. But I do think pre-made adventures are good because some people want to run a game, but they don't have an idea of what they want to run, or they need a break, or, you know, it's just like, oh, you know what, I just want to try this thing. And also, it's a good way with people that have cool ideas to let other people experience those cool ideas. So I think they're neat, but they got to be designed and played properly. Does that answer your question? Because generally, I do find a lot of times they're too railroady and they reinforce the wrong things about tabletop RPGs. But so does a bad GM. So does a bad player group. Like, all sorts of things can reinforce bad things. And all those things, a great GM doesn't. And a great GM is great. And great players don't, and they're great. So, a great pre-made can be great. I wonder if she's still alive. Likely hundreds of years. Yeah, I would assume like thousands of years. Don't even know if there's official lore for it. I can't remember. I think pre-made adventures are good to use as reference for a base for a first adventure, but don't work well for actually playing. Yeah, one of the pre-made adventures should account if players are getting off track. Should be multiple ways to funnel players back towards what needs to happen without forcing them around. Yeah, exactly. Spot on, Deeps. I agree. Because the games, tabletop RPGs should have a level of, you know, interactability and fun and openness and interpretation baked into them. That's part of what makes them so great as a thought something was very off, but I guess not. What was I saying? So, oh yeah, what makes them different from like video games and other things is like that interactive quality, that ability to do the unexpected and to kind of be able to do whatever you want to an extent. You can't punch the moon, probably. This is not Electro Swing, but I don't hate it. Remember playing a pre-made adventure, and it kept tripping me up because it used canon lore in just wildly jarring ways. Oh, that's weird. That's another thing with stuff like that, where you have to be aware of like what canon is. And like, oh, well, this is a character, you know, if Pathfinder comes out with a pre-made adventure and their main character, I don't know, John the Naga is in it, you know, can you have characters kill John the Naga? What if John the Naga comes back in another thing? What if, you know, you want to run it in another adventure and he's in there and you're like, oh, this is a totally different Naga. Like, so kind of being able to have that fluidness is very important. Take a pre-made. I gotta turn this down a little bit. This person is, I feel like, slightly louder. Oops, that's mute. I like that voice. But, oh man, I can't talk and listen to it. There we go. Now it's quieter than my speaking voice in my head. Take a pre-made. I had in mind stuff like Minds of the Fandelver. that comes as 5e starter. You promise people a game of imagination, and you give them a scenario. It's like 1 or 2 choices long. Yeah. And that's a difficult thing. And that's one of the things we've talked about in the tabletop RPG tutorial, is that you're dealing with a game that offers endless possibilities, but you need to teach people how to play it so they know how to get to those endless possibilities. If you just start with, there's a jar on the other side of this pit, how do you get over there? And you don't have some channels for them to go, then you're leaving a bunch of people that don't know how to play that game, that aren't like, oh, I'll fly, oh, I'll jump, oh, I'll rig a contraption. Like, some people need some guidance. Some people will immediately just go, I know what to do, and we'll try it. And when you're starting, you need to be able to foster both kinds of people and everybody in between. So one of the things we did in the tabletop RPG is, like, tutorial is give them, like, oh, here are 3 options that you could do, or you could do something else. So it's like giving, some ideas, but also you could try something else. And then the result is, when X is accomplished, Y happens. So if they did it anyway, you can still move on with the next thing. So, like, they need to scale a wall. Do they teleport through it? Do they climb over it? Do they bust a hole through it? Whatever they do, the next part is, they are now on the other side of this wall. Here's what happens. So allowing that fluid. And yeah, I haven't played the 5e starter, but I have a feeling that is exactly what it's like, where it's like, here's some very exact choices you can make. And here's the outcome for those choices. Pass, fail. Because that's how they like to design their game. And I'm the only lore hound of the group. So I'm the only one who noticed. Oh. Thing that really boggled me was that the adventure was set in Waterdeep in the Forgotten Realms, but the villain was a noble from Barovia? Is Barovia from Ravenloft. I mean, maybe he was visiting? Just visiting Waterdeep? Also, that's probably just them trying to do synergy, where they're like, we gotta include a thing from Ravenloft because that tomb of Strahd or whatever it is, we want people to buy that, and then they'll know what Barovia is. Which is a bit like having someone come from Silent Hill, treating it like it's just just a neighboring county. Neighboring country, yeah. Like, oh, where are you from? I'm from, Silent Hill. Be like, the Nightmare Place? Yeah. How did you get out of there? That's kind of funny. Backpack had to dip for some food. That's a great reason to dip, though. Welcome back, Paul. You don't just visit from Ravenloft. It's a dark horror dimension that keeps people trapped. Keeps people trapped, but what is this villain? Are they not people? Maybe they can move in and out of Ravenloft. I have no idea if any of that's actually how those things work. I would assume it was very much we want to tie these together, so make sure that a person is from Bulgaria or wherever. He was just a dude. We stabbed him to death really easily, actually. Oh no, I don't think you're supposed to be able to do that. Well, when he respawns and you see him again, then you'll know that he just respawns in Ravenloft every time. It's like, oh, you crafty devil. And that he's just some sort of weird entity, and that's why he can escape. But yeah, I really think that they're not bad, but oh my gosh, YouTube, I can't stand you sometimes. Here's the thing YouTube's doing is that little thing that you can do reactions with, it covers up the doggone text of the chat. So the last word, if it's the right length, is gone. But you said, I don't think that was in the cards, Jesse. Yeah, probably not. He's just a snooty noble guy. Look like Lord Farquaad. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. That's funny. Yeah, that is a very strange choice. Was it in there at all? Like, why that person was there? Why they were just a dude from this horror dimension that traps people? So yeah, pre-made stuff. Not a bad idea. Cool story is a cool story. Should be shared. Needs to be made and played to be open and interpretive. Which is hard to do. Which is why they're probably not written like that. No, they don't go to an all. They just mention that he was from Bavaria. Just in passing. That's wild. Makes it more weird that they'd give him that elaborate explanation. Yeah, that's super bizarre. Well, today I learned. So, is there anything you were asking this, and now I'm going to ask you? Was there anything specific in running like the 5e Adventure or any of the other pre-mades that made you think this is bad? Or like, this is too railroady, or this doesn't work? Because sometimes if you can identify the direct problem, it's an easier way to solve it. Because like I said, the thing that gets me is that a lot of times you'll have like, you know, limited dialogue choices, and you don't have a way to interpret something other than that. There's a game called two counter examples of how to do this in a different way. There's a game called Emberwind, which is kind of like a choose your own adventure tabletop RPG. And they have it so you can play it with a GM, or you can play it completely GM-less and run off of the scenarios in the book. And that's probably, I'm not going to say probably, that's the best GM-less system I've ever used. I was shocked at how well they managed to incorporate things that I wasn't expecting, and things that like you can do that, you know, I was like, oh, well, you know, we could try this. It's like, oh yeah, that's an option. Like, oh, okay. Or like how it framed binary choices, where like you have to do one or the other, but the way that it built a situation leading to that made sense, where it's like, oh no, we either have to run away or fight. Like, there's not a third option here. Something like that. It worked really well for that. The other thing that I found is that more backstory and understanding of the character helps with interpreting things that aren't written down. So, like, in a system like Pathfinder, if you have, they have to talk to Noble, and you have a character sheet for the Noble that they're talking to. They have a class, they have skills, they have feats, they have abilities. But that's all like your crunchy stuff. That's all your rules. What really motivates this person? What's on their mind? What are they trying to accomplish outside of the ultimate main goal? Having those things can help you understand the character and then work with it. So if you know that this character is recently divorced and very lonely and is struggling with their place in political power, and doesn't think they're gonna win re-election, and now you could use all of those character specific things to interpret how they would respond to the players, how they would respond to the world around them, when the players are like, well, can't we make a deal? And they're like, well, if they could rig this election, actually, that would be a huge help for me. And now you have, a new avenue to explore. So can you hear that? I'm assuming you can. It looks like my microphone is definitely picking that up. So now, my neighbors, I think, are completely redoing their floors above me. So someone is they're doing something up there for like several days. There's been like crews coming in and out, and I saw them tear out some tile, and they're banging on something. So I think my guess is that they're doing all of their floors. And whatever because it started over there and it's working its way back, and apparently they're in the room above me right now. So I don't know how unreasonable that is to listen to. I wasn't one dealing back then, so I don't know how railroady it really was. Didn't have timing. Elliot feel a bit weird, I guess. Yeah, that's fair. I think it might be on me because I started with kind of storytelling things, so some of the adventures gone wild quickly, but some folks want a bit of mechanics in their games. Okay, it's not bad. Let me know if that changes. It's very loud. I'm glad I have these on. It's like rattling. Like not like the walls, but like I can hear it. Whatever they're drilling, it's like vibrating the wood around it, so it just sounds extra loud to me. Because that's how drilling works. Or sawing. That is so loud on my levels. At some point I picked up pre-made stuff just to try it out and didn't love it. Still using some of the starting points, premises. Sometimes that's what the best part of it is like you read a thing that's like, here's an adventure about, finding magical lollipops in a world where sugar shouldn't exist. And you're like, what? And you read it and you're like, this is intriguing. And you can just, sometimes the best part of it is a concept and a basic, like, here's the villain, here's the motivation, here's the challenge, here are ways they can get around it, and you go, awesome, and then you set it down, and you never pick it up again, and you just go with that idea, and whatever you want to change, you change, and whatever your players want to do, they do, and it works out. Sounds like a creature in a cave growling. It's not too far off, actually. We can boost the electro swing some. See if that helps. Selling to the growling. Classic. Okay, I think I need to call it a day. That is above my head. RPG helped us this time with a cage dragon. Yes. Yeah, they were working like right there. Wait, my hand's too high. Like right there. Nope, I gotta come in right there. It is so... Like, I'm half expecting a hole to open up in the floor and for them to peek their head in. Yeah, they've been doing it for about a week. Maybe a little less. I do have some somewhat practical questions. Actually, I would, well, ask away. Let's see if I can hold concentration long enough to answer them. Could you tell upstairs to achieve new floors quietly? Yeah, what's your question? TTRPG 0. I can't tell them to do it quietly. We had our floors redone. So, you know, I know it's not a quiet thing. Please call me Larson. Larson, I will forget though. It doesn't say Larson. So it's going to take me a long time to remember that Larson is TTRPG 0. But I will try. But just remind me every time. Christian peeks his head out of the collapsed ceiling. That'd be great. That'd be terrifying, but pretty great. But I was wondering about ways to make battle maps more interesting. Ooh, okay. Are we talking... Okay, so how big is a battle map? Are you talking about, like, 5x5 square? And this is just the battle arena? The area that we're in? Like that kind of a battle map? Not like... We're doing warfare, and here's the country map, and we're, like, moving pieces like Risk, but zoomed in. Everybody has a single thing. Like that. I want to make sure I got the right thing. It's okay for me to keep my username separate anyway. Ah, okay. Thanks, Larson. Cupcake Edge. Hey, Cupcake Edge. Does the edge of the cupcake have the frosting, or is it just cake? Also, how are you doing? It peeks their head out. Ah, it's fine. Maps duty combat because like one, maybe 2 or 3 encounters. All right, so now they're hammering. You want, or here's what I do. I don't generally draw maps. So this is going to be partially from like trying to interpret what I do with theater of the mind, and also what I've liked from people that do draw maps. Oh, next session I'm throwing my players at a clan of Ralkers, which are awful and gross, and I can't wait to see their reactions. Do you mean making the man they're physically looking at more interesting, or imaginary area they're fighting in? I think the imaginary area they're fighting in. Wait, wait, now I'm confused. Are you talking about the map itself or the character that they're facing? Same person as Cupcake. I thought you were Cupcake Fairy because your name's close enough, but I didn't want to assume it. Oh, you have your D&D game tonight, Cupcake? And you're working on it? Nice. What are you working on? They're hammering, not PG friendly at all. No, these are all R-rated streams. Because who knows when a salty F-bomb comes out. Hey Blight, how you doing? Okay, so Larson, do you want to make the map more interesting or the character more interesting? That's what I need to know.
We don't know. All we got are suspects.
So I want to answer the wrong question. How to incorporate cover, difficult terrain, routes of reinforcement, potential traps, and other things one could take advantage of, like building, like a building, I'm assuming, or cauldron. Okay, so let me say, Deep says, honestly, in my experience, the area is only interactive as players can make them. All I can really do as GM is stuff the arena and hope players use it. Yeah, so the idea being, kind of to that point, is putting things in it that can be used. DVD is down. Oh no. They just updated. So like, if you have a, if you're in a tavern, having your chairs and tables set up in a way so that the characters don't have a straight line to their destination, that they have to spend extra movements kind of going around stuff, or make some sort of check or something to go over the tables, like a difficult terrain thing. So adding things that block their pathing that are natural. Saying what things are and giving them an element that can be interacted with. So you have trees with branches low enough that you can reach. All right, that makes climbing this tree now a more easy thing that you can do. You know, you have a river. You can have part of it be like, here's a little like slopey mud part that's slippery and wet, and like you could get stuck in it, or you could try and push someone in it, or you know. I would also say, so like anything you could add to it that fits the terrain that can be interactable, and that you can draw even just a simple, here's a little squiggly, and like that's a tree. Perfect. Okay, this weird circle is a tree. Got it. So those things are really, really helpful in it. Having the enemies use the environment. So you have these climbable trees. You've got enemies that are in the trees that are shooting down or dropping down. They're drop bearing people. Straight Goomba stomping them. Like, now you have them using the environment. And that can help encourage other people to use it. Maybe jumping from tree to tree. You might have, you know, if you're in the tavern again and you have the second floor, maybe you've got people jumping onto the chandelier, doing a good old swing in and coming in, and bam, they drop in on people. Like, having the enemies use the environment in creative ways is very helpful in teaching them that they can do it. And like make them go, ooh, here's something we can do. and then having things change. So you mentioned like reinforcements. So you know where reinforcements are coming from, and you can have it so players, turn 2, players hear a low rumbling. And then turn 3, they hear a louder rumbling coming from this direction, and they see a path going that way. And it's like, oh, that's where reinforcements are coming through. And now you can use that as a timer of like in 3 turns, or in supposedly a few turns that you don't know how many, you're gonna have a bigger problem. Or they'll look at it and go, oh, they're coming from that way, cool, let's build a wall of mud with my magic, and then they can't get through, get wrecked, and then go on with the fight. So adding more things to interact with, and then having things change over time. So one of the things that I tried to do in the tabletop tutorial is having the pyromancer, and they had a bunch of candles around them when they come into the room, and they use the fire from the candles to make their spells bigger. And the idea being, oh, well, if players pick up on that, they could extinguish the candles and lower this person's effectiveness, and now she can't blast spells as hard. So like, try to do as all those sorts of things, and like give little indicators on the maps that those are there. And also, when someone asks, oh, we're at a bar, is there a chandelier? You could be like, yes. If they ask, is there a thing, you can say, yes. Or, well, no, but there's this other thing that's kind of close. Like, oh, are the tree branches low enough for me to grab? And it's like, no, but they're just low enough that if you successfully jump, you can grab them. So now there's a little bit of a challenge. Like, oh, okay, so you can't just grab it, but you can probably jump up and grab it. So those are all things. Does that answer your question? Was that helpful? Any follow-up questions? I saw a lot of chat go by, and I need to catch up on it. But first, I see Deep says, my favorite environmental interaction I GM'd for was a battle where an alchemist, and he had a big brewing cauldron and potions all over the wall. I was hoping players would try random potions. Oh, that's great. It says someone threw a bunch into the cauldron and blew up the whole room. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so like having interactable things, so like the cauldron, perfect example. Like, okay, what happens if that cauldron gets dumped? What happens if stuff gets thrown into it? Like, you can change the map and maybe do that on purpose, where it's like, this is a caustic brew, and if things aren't going the way the enemy likes, they kick the cauldron over, and now everybody's playing the floor as lava. You've changed the environment, and now all your tables and stuff are temporary safe places as, the wood starts to erode and everything starts sinking. Well, remember, it's an Underdark campaign. Most fights are in tunnels away from trees. Yeah, okay. But this is just examples of stuff. So, like, you have your stalactites, your stalagmites, your mushrooms, anything that people have like carved out of the caves. Also, is it a climbable wall? Some sections are sheer. Are there a lot of small cavities and tunnels to get into? So yeah, there's a lot you can do. Does that help? I see you said that was food for thought. That makes it sound like I didn't help you, and I feel like I did not give a proper answer. But I'll wait for your response, and I'm going to check up on chat. So, difficult terrain. Yeah, so difficult terrain. Building cauldron. Great. Okay, so, all right, now I'm at Cupcake. The players are in the middle of an encounter right now. Drider down one hallway. Goblins breaking through their other barricade. Ooh. That's a good pincer. I like it. Could also use some ways for enemies to use the map against players. Yeah. So specifically that, again, if you're in caves, you could have small cavities that connect to each other. And if you have a small critter, your little goblins, your little halflings, your little whatevers, where they're too small of a hole for a human to get into, but they can just pop out, shoot an arrow, crawl back into it, and then later in another turn, pop out of another one, because this is a whole network of connected little cavities. And now you've got someone interacting with the environment, and maybe if there's a small member of the party, maybe they can go in there and disrupt that, or maybe they'll throw dynamite inside of it. They got a surprise route on my main NPCs and killed them. They unleashed everything else. Oh no! DVD is down. Classic. I just logged into DVD for the first time in 2,000 years. Wow. Let's see, my husband just bought us Grindelwald Mobiles Market. And I fully plan on having him in the capital interact with. Yay! I hope you like the book. I hope you like the items. I hope you have a good time playing them. And I hope everybody has a good time getting stuff from them. Yay, that's great. Thank you. Please tell your husband thank you from me for buying that book. I hope you all really enjoy it. So much good stuff. I love it. Yay. Teams also says there's good stuff in that. Thanks. I had such a good time making that. I don't really have anything general on how to incorporate the environment or enemies. These specific scenarios are gears turning. Specific scenarios do help. Let's see. And then, okay, you mentioned that. Underdark. All right, I think I caught up. Also, I need to find some ways to break the rogue out of his habit of firing his crossbow and bonus action hiding for the entire combat encounter. Dude's got a 13 stealth modifier and skulker. That's easy. I don't know if 5e has tremor sense, but tremor sense. So something that doesn't rely on vision. So like, if thing is within X feet of creature is aware. And then you could also have it be a critter that like burrows. And so they could do their thing and then hide. And then critter pops up beside them and takes a bite out of them. And then they shoot them and then they run and hide. And then critter dives underground. And then critter pops up again and bites them. And it's like, oh, you can't just hide from this thing. Or maybe they figure out, oh, I need to get like to the ceiling or something. I can't do my normal thing. And now they'll have a penalty on their hide check. So that's a way you could do it. I also don't know what Skulker does. I'm assuming something with hiding. It was a good answer. I just have to digest it for a while to find ways to make it more applicable to the Underdark. So what, do you have a set scenario, Larson, of how this is going to go down? Because if you have a, like, here's what I'm thinking, we could work on that directly. Oh, Blight says, what do you think is a good way to do an effect mechanic that increases or decreases damage? Personally, I was thinking of doing upgrades. The dice itself. Oh, I love dice upgrades. Oh, man, if you want to increase damage and you do a dice upgrade, it feels so good. You could do a... yeah, you could do it as a dice upgrade. Or you could do it as an additional dice that always starts at a D4. So, like, if you have a D8 sword, and you want to do a damage upgrade, you get a D8 plus a D4. And then if you upgrade it again, it's a D8 plus a D6. And then you upgrade it again, and it's a D8 and another D8. And like, so then you would scale it that way. And the next one would be a D10 and a D8, and then a D10 and a D10. So you could do it that way. Or you could just scale it where it's a D8. Oh, well, now it's a D10. Ah, well, now it's a D12. Adding an additional dice is way more powerful because your damage threshold is much higher and your damage floor is lower. No, is higher. So if a D8 is going to roll between a 1 and an 8. And a D10 is going to roll between a 1 and a 10. So that's your damage threshold, 1 through 10. A D8 and a D4 is a damage threshold of 2 through 12. So it's much higher. Well, it's a bit higher. Then you have your upgrade of D6, which is now 2 through 14. But depending on how your system is balanced, which one will work better. But I just like throwing extra dice. You could also do it to just every upgrade is add 1 more D4, and now your sword does 1 D8 plus 2 D4 plus 3 D4 plus 4 D4, and that always adds adds to your floor, because your minimum of a D8 and 2 D4 is now 3, so you always have that low threshold. I think is fun. I love raising the floor of damage. But it's very system dependent. So like if I did that with Lexicon, it would be absolutely busted because Lexicon is built on, adding a 1 to a roll is pretty massive. So adding a whole new dice is astronomical. So it is very specific to the system. What system are you thinking? I'm assuming Pathfinder 2, but just to make sure. At the next corner where he skulks, beware a stealthy cave predator is posted waiting for food. Oh, I love that idea, Deebs. That's funny. Taking notes as you talk for my second campaign, already planning it, or at least drawing the map. Hey, nice. The problem is he's fully capable of just hiding in the same spot over and over again. Well, what if the spot changes? Like, what if there's something in the spot that he's hiding in that becomes a problem? So, like, you have, I hide behind this stalactite. No, that's the thing. Stalagmite is the ones on the bottom. I hide behind this stalagmite. All right, cool. There's quicksand there. That's a terrible example, but, like, there's something there. What's that? There's a monster that disguises itself as a stalagmite. Like, that one you just took cover behind is actually this monster. Ha! So you can drive him out. Also, you could have someone, when the rogue pops out, and he's like, I'm going to shoot, have someone cast light on him. Now he's a glowing beacon. Have fun hiding. So now they have to worry about staying hidden or putting out, maybe trying to dispel that glow they now have. Also, if someone shot at me from around a corner, it doesn't mean I wouldn't do anything and wouldn't check. Yeah, exactly. So, like, if they're acting from that corner, people would be aware something's happening over there. Even if they can't see them, they'd be like, well, a freaking bolt just came from there. So, like, we got to investigate that. So, yeah, that also works. Take the Rylker encounter. Upcoming session, they'll have settled a crisscrossing network of old purple-worm tunnels, and the party is investigating because their presence is fouling a nearby water source. Rylker are speedy and cunning. I gotta look up what a Rylker is, because I have no idea. Is it a rat? I'm trying to find it, and I'm not seeing what it is. I'm getting like a bunch of different things, so I'm not actually sure what it is. All right, so they're speedy and cunning, though their int is only 5. No real tool use. However, they like keeping fire, which they are immune to, which is needed for the matriarch to spawn. Ooh. Oh, so you could definitely play a nice, with the battle map and stuff, you could definitely play a nice floor is lava thing. Where you have, you know, round 2 or whatever, the floor starts getting hot. And then round 3, or like, you know, like, oh, you better, you know, like, if you stay on this floor, it might burn your shoes off. And then, like, they actually have, like, a almost graded floor or something like that. And, like, lava comes up from it. And just a nice small coating on the floor. Now, they're able to walk around. But everybody else who's not immune to fire needs to figure out how to not get their feetsies burned. Also having trouble deciding acceptable stats for ships. How would you make a call on the stats for 2 ships in battle, for example? There are... I would definitely look up seafaring things in Pathfinder 2 Light. Absolutely look that up. See what their stats are, their speed, all of that. And just... I know you're doing this for the Skies of Arcadia game, so just use their sailing speed in water to be that in air, or like reduce it a little bit. And be like, oh, these can move, you know, 50 feet a turn in water. Let's say they move 30 feet a turn. These airships do. Because that's a shoot ton of work if you're going to try and build ships. Because then it's like, okay, well, this ship has, I don't know, 1,000 HP. Well, how much damage does a cannon do? I don't know, 2d6? Wow. Battles are going to take an unreasonably long time. Like, a lot of that work has been done for you in that system. So I would look at naval combat, ships, warfare, all of that, and just extrapolate that and put it on flying ships. Because I could not tell you how to make a call for stats on ships, because it very much depends on like a laundry list of things, like how big they are, how fast they can move, how much damage siege weapons do, things like that. For damage increase, I prefer the idea of extra die, not necessarily another of the same kind of dice, like boosting from a d6 to a d8 seems nice, but I still going to be rolling 1 through 6 on that. Yeah. That's why I also like adding that extra die. It's just fun. Horrible rat monster, yes. Oh, okay. Good to know it's a horrible rat monster. Go with extra dice rather than changing. I think I will downgrade the dice itself for... So, like, if it was a D8, it would instead be a D6 and a D4. Is that what you mean, Blight? A ship ton of work. Cupcake says, I have a question. I have problems building NPCs, and the main villain they will eventually fight, I want his body to be taken over by his god after he dies. How would I begin to build that? Oh my gosh, Cupcake, are you going to be around next week? Because that sounds like a whole day we could spend on building NPCs and doing like like ideas of how to do that specific scenario. So will you be around next week? Because I would love to do that for next week's question and just really dig into it. I have an idea for that one. Are you playing treat ship stats basically same as players, bigger numbers? Oh, okay. Made ships are like mechs, everyone fights. States group. Yeah, I would definitely recommend just looking at what they have with naval warfare and ships and stuff. Is how I would suggest that. Blight. Definitely that way. Then once you have that information, you might be able to go, oh, I know how to answer this question. Or you might go, that's 90% of what I need. Here's the missing 10%. Because I've made that mistake where I've gone, oh, I'll just make this. And it's like, no, that's so much more work. And I know you're doing a lot of work on this game. So don't do more work than you need to. Okay, so horrible rat monsters. So horrible rat monsters that are immune to fire. No real tool use. Okay. So, yeah, I do think... Oh, you'll be here next week, Cupcake? All right. So, Cupcake. Next Wednesday, so a week from today, I start at 12 Eastern, which is 2 hours before right now. Be here. We'll talk about it. I can send you the full idea. Absolutely. Should totally do that. We can talk the full idea. Cannon damage, because that seems low. Well, cannons, I'm going to say it probably might seem a little low, but, like, it takes a long time to get through 150 HP. So, yeah, see how much damage a cannon does. You could be here. Yay! NPC Workshop. Okay, so they heal. They're not just immune, they heal. So perfect. So you could have the fight start. Fun interactive thing. You got your little stalagmites and your stalactites in your cave. Okay, whereas this counter's happening. And then, you know, your little guys come in and they attack them. And they go down fairly easily. So it's like, ooh, yeah. Oh, there's 50 of these guys. There's not going to be 50. But like, there's like 10 of these guys and maybe some more. You know, we hear some more skittering this way, but like, come on, they're chumps. We'll knock them over. Turn 2, floor gets hot. Turn 3, lava comes out of the floor. Now you have your players taking damage if they stay in the floor, and these little chumps that were dying really easily are now getting insta-healed. So now you have, even if they like do the killing blow, like bam, I got you to 0 HP. If they don't coup de grace them, they're not dead, they're just unconscious. And now they're laying in lava because they're unconscious. Just a small, you know, it doesn't have to be that much lava. And then they heal, they pop back up. Now your players are faced with a much more challenging thing. And they have to use all of that environmental stuff to aid them because the floor. All right, so excluding, ironically, the Riker Harridan, the matriarch, takes damage from fire. But also causes her to spawn a swarm. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm assuming they're not going to be fighting the matriarch in this scenario. So yeah, have them give them a fiery scenario. Cannons do 6d12 damage. So 6d12 damage. So you're doing an average of half of 12 is 6, so 6 times. So you're doing an average of 36 damage a turn. So that's at least 4 turns of combat to sink a ship with a cannon. All right, so here's the thing. Sure, it does 66 or 60-12. What's the reload speed of that cannon? If it's like, you know, a full action, then now you're looking at, okay, 4 turns. Now you're looking at 8 turns. what is the range of a cannon? How close are these ships getting? Because you don't want combat to last too long. At least I know I don't really enjoy that. So like if my ship's got 150 HP and I see a ship with 3 cannons on the port side, I'm going to be real nervous about fighting that ship. I know how much damage that can do. So, you know, that's also just raw ship integrity. What's the ship's AC? How far the cannons shoot? What's the like threshold of damage on the accurate? Like, does damage go down with distance? How long does it take to get to a ship? Like, if you could see someone when they're, you know, 200, 300, 400 feet away, and your cannons have a range of, you know, whatever distance, like, you're going to be shooting so far into distance. So, like, there's a lot of factors other than just the HP versus the damage. So I wouldn't just count it out yet. Look at all the factors. How would an actual naval battle or ship battle take place? And yeah, it might also be like, oh, it takes, you know, 2 people a full action to reload a cannon. So now you've got dedicated crew, or what, 12 turns on average. And then you're still going to miss sometimes. I don't think I'll be using lava. This place is close-ish to the main city. And there's no established volcanic activity, but lots of gathered kindling in sullen oil. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do it that way. That works. Yeah, if lava doesn't work, there's plenty other ways to do it. Because, again, they know they're immune, so they would have, like, oh, things aren't going our way. Well, we'll dump some oil on the ground. It'll spread out, drop a match. We're now good. Everybody else is screwed. What a great strategy. And it's not very tool usey, so you're good. Actually, you could even have it on the couple that they kill at the beginning, the ones that go down easily. When they land on their clay pots. The clay pots break. Like, all of them have these clay pots strapped to them. And when any of them go down, they're supposed to break and start spreading oil so that the ones who are still fighting can then light the oil. So you can have that be a natural part of the thing where when they die, oil comes out. And now in a turn or two, huge advantage. Yeah, but the mechanic for buying artillery, upgrading ships. There will be a mechanic for buying artillery, upgrading ships. So I gotta look through that way. Maybe. Yeah. If you've got swarms of rat monsters, you can have them come blasting out of a small tunnel, etc. On walls that swarms over your sneaky lad. Ooh, that's a good one, Deebs. I like that. That's really good. They don't need to know he's there to come busting out of a small tunnel near him and have him be in the way. Yeah. Ships do tend to have more mechanic. But you could use that to your advantage. Like, ship with 1 cannon, pretty average. Ship with 2 cannon, that's pretty scary. Ship with 3 cannon, that's very scary. So you could have that be just because we know ships have more than 1 cannon. Okay. That doesn't mean that you've got to make all the ships have more than 1 cannon. Let that be a symbol of power. Oh, cannons, sub-cannons, torpedoes, magic cannons, special cannons. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. There may also be options for mitigating and repairing damage for cannon fire. Yeah, it's a good point, Deeps. That may also be a rule in naval combat of like, well, while the repair action, you can heal the ship X dice roll. So now your 60-12 cannon is realistically doing less as long as they have someone to repair it. Got a dip. Gotta watch Spider-Verse. Bye, Larson. Enjoy the Spider-Verse. Engaging but not tedious. That is a good balance, Blight. You gotta have that. Thanks for the Friday app idea, though. Definitely gonna use that. Sweet. Enjoy it. All right. So next week we're gonna talk NPC building and having a god possess your body when you die. That's the plan. I have to make important phone calls, go swimming, work out, and do work. So I'm going to end it because I'm not on Twitch, so I can't raid anybody. Because that's not how YouTube works. I'm pretty sure. Fairly certain you can't raid on YouTube. Thanks, everybody. This was a delight. I was scared no one was going to be here because I'd switch over to YouTube, but it looks like we had close to an average number of people. So that's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Splinter Fiction. Next week. Send me that information. Or some of it. You don't have to send me the whole thing. Just send me like little tidbits that I can just be like trying to work on to help you out with. Monday will be happy. Yeah! Yeah, where's Monday? What the heck? It's like 50% of the YouTube audience right there. But where is she? All right, I'm out of here. Thanks, everybody. Y'all the best. Oh, it's Get Jesse the Beast tonight. I forgot about that. Hopefully I'll see you there. If not, I hope you enjoy whatever it is you are doing.